Hi, this is Kit, and I'm here to walk you through my build of the Gamora leather jacket. This is the jacket that you see in the Guardians 2 movie and the Infinity War movie. I create this jacket using a free pattern I got online from So Easy. It's called the Free Shrug Simple Pattern. I'll try and place a link in the video notes so you can get that, and all you need to do is create a purchasing profile, but pay no money for this pattern. And I wanted to point out that I'm making this pattern for my 10-year-old daughter, so I sized it down and it's going to look smaller. So the first modification that you need to do to the pattern once you have it assembled and you have it cut out is you need to work on colorizing the sleeves, creating little color change bands between the brown and the red. I did it with 3 inches of brown, changing to 2 inches of red, and then back to brown with another 2 inches of red at the end of the sleeve. And at this point, all you need to really worry about after you have that sketched out on the sleeve is putting in seam allowances for each cut, which for me, I did it 1/4 of an inch. So that's a little overlap where you're going to sew the pieces together. You can see it with the dotted line. So I carefully went in, and because it's all linear, I just marked the points on the polygon and went in and connected the dots afterward to keep it really quick and simple. So you don't need to see a whole lot of this part to get the idea. Now, after you have patterned your pieces, you need to cut them out. I used a radial cutter as every cut was straight, and it was really quick to do it this way. I decided to keep track of all of my pieces really carefully by numbering them, but it does pattern together pretty obviously. It's cascading in size. So it might not be all that necessary to do. I'm just neurotic, especially when people are going to be watching me on a video later. I did want to point out at this point, so we are working with changing colors. That's why I'm doing all this work. And yet I'm cutting everything out of brown fabric, the same exact color. I am going to colorize over the brown using red acrylic paint in the next step. I didn't want to have to buy a tiny amount of special red pleather in order to do this. The colorization works really well, as you'll see, and it kept it very easy going through this. I just bought this fabric on the remnant section, a 1/2 yard of brown and a full yard of black, which comes in the next section. All right, now that I have all the pieces cut out, I'm laying them with the pattern, making sure that I pull out the pieces I want to colorize red and don't mix them up with the pieces I want to leave brown. So this shows you very quickly what I did. I started with a brush, but I can tell you now it's not all that necessary. I did brushing and then I blotted it in order to give it a flat look. And I just transitioned actually to just blotting with a paper towel. I think the colorization worked a lot nicer. It gave it a uniform look. It wound up looking quite nice and distinct from the brown. When you're looking at all the pieces together, it's hard to see the difference, but when you lay it next to the brown, you can start to see. The other nice thing about this paint, it's just 99-cent paint from the craft store, flat red acrylic, nothing special, and it dried quite quickly. Now I moved to cutting out the main body. This is the piece that is the back and the front that goes over the shoulder. There's 2 points to make here. First, I sized the fabric exactly to my daughter's dimensions, and I wish now that I had gone like a size or 2 larger, because this pattern is designed for fabric that has a little bit of give. Although it says in the pattern that you can use fabric that doesn't have a give, it's really tight. So I would recommend sizing at least 1 size larger, maybe 2. As you make this, it's always easier to come down than it is to go bigger, right? Now, the other thing I wanted to point out is you need to leave a seam allowance for the sleeve to attach to. That's that straight part that I just radial cut. through. So if you don't leave a seam allowance, there'll be nothing to attach that sleeve to later, and it's going to break your heart. So at this point, I'm laying out all my sleeve pieces and I'm going to sew them together. Something I would highly recommend at this point is buying a special needle for leather, because I didn't, and I broke 3 needles doing this project. This is going to be the only terrible video of me using my sewing machine for this whole project. So in the next segment, you're going to see the final shrug assembly and assembling and preparing the sleeves. So stay tuned.